Mr. Niven, did you have a battle with yourself to decide whether or not to include the facts of your earliest experiences with the opposite sex in your biography, or did you feel that the public would demand that, or did you feel you owed it to them, or did you just want to hear it again?
I think I
don't know what I'm asking.
I couldn't keep it in, to coin a phrase. I think I had to let it. I don't know. If you start to, first of all, if you're an actor, you have to be an egomaniac to be an actor. And I suppose the supreme egomania is to write a book about yourself, really, isn't it?
I suppose.
So once you uncork it, you keep on lifting up those rocks in your memory, and these funny little things come wiggling out. And this wiggled out. Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah. It's late enough, I feel.
It is after 12, isn't it?
This is the mature time of
night.
Well,
we were living in London in a little tiny house, and there wasn't room for me. So the stepfather sent me off to a room. I was now 14 and a half. To a room up sort of a bus ride away in the middle of London. So I used to go there after supper at night.
You lived away from home?
Yes, about 4 miles away. And I'd come back in the morning for breakfast. Then I used to get more adventurous, and I used to wander about London. And I used to go down to Piccadilly and look at the signs, the lit-up signs, you know. Then I noticed a lot of girls walking about. And this was the day of the Mini, it really was. They had the skirts up to there, anyway, that high up. And I thought they were marvelous. I used to follow these girls. And then I saw this one sensational creature walking about. So I used to follow her around every night. I couldn't wait to see her again, you know. And then one night, she turned on me. She was full cockney. She said, "What are you following me for, you know?" I said, I'm not. I'm off on my way to bed. And she said what? No, don't.
You really did not know what her activity was about?
I had no idea.
You were 14?
14 and a half. No idea. He said, do you want a piece? Want a bit? I didn't know what she was talking about. I said,
what was she talking about?
So anyway, she took me up to this flat, to her flat. She said, all right, I'll get ready. And she was marvelous and perfectly beautiful. She was 17. This is the joke. She was 17 years old. And I was completely unaware of what was going on. She gave me, she said, if you need any help, look at these. And she gave me a book of photographs, you know. Well, at that point, I hadn't been exposed to any pornography at all, and I opened this thing. And then saw these middle-aged people with very serious expressions doing the most peculiar things to each other. And then she put on a record. Oh, I'll never forget this, a record on the phonograph. Yes, we have no bananas. That was very... And then the final achievement, she said, all right, dear, you wash over there, wash over there. So there was a little sort of, oh, this is terrible, isn't it? I go to jail.
Well, I count on you to tell it with the greatest delicacy.
So she said, take your shirt off and wash it. So I took my shirt off and I washed my hands in this little thing, you know. She said, not your hands, dear. Oh, I can't.
You got past that problem, and...
we got over that. And then she was absolutely sensational, and she caught on to my problem. That I had first, you know,
no knowledge,
exposure to whatever it's called, and ended up as being a real sort of, everything else as well, but a sort of brother-sister relationship that lasted for 5 years.
That was Nessie.
Nessie, yes.
Is that short for something? Or
well, I tell you, honestly, that's not her name, because I think she's listening to this program. And she's now a grandmother and a highly respected citizen, and I don't think she's going to call us up and say...
Oh, really? She lives in this country now? Yeah. Because she comes off very sympathetic.
Oh, great bird.
I would say that I've read 4/5 of the book. And do you tell in the end what became of her?
No, never saw her again after I went away in the army.
But she's so kind to you, and
no, she was really one of the great human beings.
And even met your mother at one point.
Yes, well, quite by mistake she did. And she always used to say, you know, I might think of myself as an orb with an heart of gold, she used to say. She was going to get enough money, and she's going to stop and marry some nice fellow and have kids. She always said it.
And her life turned out just the way she wanted.
And she met this fellow, and she told me all about him and told him everything. Yeah. It's really rather, it's a rather sweet little story, hers, I think.
Yeah. It's a little grimmer today because there's all of the drugs are mixed in with it now.
Yes.
Well, she had a sister who was in...
She had a sister who went on drugs and went up north somewhere. But she had a ghastly family life anyway before. But that flat, I'll never forget it.
But you never see her again, I mean...
No, not since I was then 19 when I last saw her.
Could you get Garbo on the phone if you wanted to?
Could I get on the phone?
Could you get Garbo on the phone? Because could you call her up if you...
If I knew the number, yes.
Yeah? I mean, I know you knew Garbo, but I just wondered if she has cut you off as well as so many of her friends. Just curious
I see what
about
you mean.
Garbo. I meant, is she...
Oh, I see what
does
you
she
mean.
still see her
I haven't
friends?
seen her for several years, no. Well, about 3 years. But I think she'd answer the phone, I think, yes.
Because it's such an...
I don't get the connection between Garbo and Nessie, though. What's this?
There isn't any. I was just... unless you know of one I don't. I don't know. No, I don't know of any. No, I don't know what made me think of her, except that I thought of her earlier when you mentioned Errol Flynn's boat, because there's such an intriguing moment in the book where you talk about just going out onto a boat for a couple of days, and Garbo did the cooking, and there were 4 of you. Bogart, I believe. Or was Bogart along on that trip, or is that another trip?
A nameless gentleman, has to be.
Oh, a nameless gentleman.
And my wife's Swedish, so the 2 Swedes, Garbo was the cook, ghastly cook. And, but she made up for it. She was great.
Garbo can't cook.
Not at all. Well, she couldn't on that boat, anyway.
Doesn't bother me a bit that she can't cook. And your wife is Swedish.
She's Swedish.
Yeah. There's a moment in the book where she has a terrible accident, a hunting accident.
Yes, she did.
And
My
all,
wife did.
and was,
She's very psychic, you know, like many Scandinavians are. And we were staying with some friends up in Rhode Island, pheasant hunting. And she said, I'm not going to come out today because I'm going to be shot. So, you know, we'd just been married anyway. And I said, I explained my new wife, you know. So she said, no, I'm not going to come because I'm going to be shot. So the host said, well, if we lend you a thick coat, he said, it won't hurt. Will you come? And she said, all right, but I'm going to be shot. And 20 minutes later, she was shot. And I mean, they had 12 witnesses to this, shot badly. And she had about 30-something pieces of lead in her. And she's still got one embedded in the bone there. She had about 4 or 5 in the cheek and through the neck and in the breast here and the side and right through the arm. She had a bashing.
The strange parts of that story were her premonition, and then the fact that you at some point stopped an operation that was about to start on her with an instinct that they shouldn't operate.
They'd given her the jab, they'd given her the anesthetic, and they were going to start taking all the stuff out. I don't know where it came. Something to do with the war, I suppose, about swellings and not cutting. I don't know what it was. And I went into the operating room and said, stop, I want another opinion. And they were marvelous. I mean, they were just starting, and they lowered these masks, you know. And I said, all right, well, and then we found a wonderful ex-US Navy doctor at a football game, it was Saturday afternoon, and he came and said, no, I think you shouldn't. I think you're right, you shouldn't cut. And he said, we watch them and photograph them every month, because they move, you know, the bits of lead, they move around in the body, and see where they go, and there's some we can take out, the ones near the top, and then we watch where they go. And she hasn't got a scratch, nothing, just a tiny little thing there.
Strange, that premonition, or whatever that is.
I mean, the other day I was coming over here from Europe 2 days ago, and she said, I don't think you should fly today. I said, then you sit there, you know, for 8 hours gibbering with fright, of course.
You don't want to hear that from someone with good premonitions.
No, not
but
at
she
all.
misses occasionally.
She misses.
Okay. We have a message. We'll be right back.